Hello and welcome to episode 3 of GEEKAMANIA. As always, I'm Ben, and with me is this guy.
Mark?
You'll have to excuse Mr. Sylvester. His voice has taken a bit of a beating recently, so he will sound a bit more gravelly than usual.
He has. It's taken a very much a Batman beating.
Batman beating.
Indeed.
Anyway, yes, so let's get started. So, WWE had their recent No Way Out pay-per-view, as stupidly called No Way Out as that is, considering they had a grand total of one cage match, when it's a whole pay per view that's supposed to be about nothing but cage matches.
And they brought back an old name which they haven't used since 2009 or 10. They used to have No Way Out. In the olden days they did, but is that the last time they had No Way Out was 2010?
2009 is the old days for you? Blimey.
No, like no, they used to have No Way Out was an old name of a pay per view. Then they changed all the names. I was wondering what the last No Way Out was. Was it 2009 or 2010?
I have no idea. My memory is not the greatest.
Can't remember
Most of the times.
No Way Out is now replaced by Elimination Chamber because that's what No Way Out used to be. Was the February pay per view.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I saw it. Mark decided not to pay money for it, which is a very wise move because it was frankly terrible.
Yeah, and also I would have paid for one match, which was Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Kane. So
Yeah.
what's the point of paying £15?
And that
for
was
one
the
match?
highlight. And even then, there was many flaws to that match. I mean, they didn't use AJ as much as I'd like because they had quite a nice gimmick thing going on there. It's like, so who's she siding with, or is she just some weird succubus that feeds on the weird energies of all of them? I'm going a bit geeky and demon like there. That's a bit weird. But hey, I'm sure you guys know what succubus is. You know, you guys do history and stuff, don't you? You sure? Anyway, but yeah, other than that, we had Ziggler and Sheamus, which was a good match, but disappointing because Ziggler didn't win.
Yeah,
Because he
Ziggler's
really
awesome.
does need a title run at this point. And yeah, other than that, we just had generic stuff you'd see on any Monday Night Raw, really.
And Cena won, so that's nothing new.
Yeah,
either,
I
so-
mean, for me, that's a harbinger of bad things to come. It's like if they can't put on a pay per view that's this good, how the hell are they going to really cope with a 3 hour Raw? I mean, I know we've already discussed this, but they're struggling with something that is actually, a big flagship, paid content.
Mm.
And, that's something that they do every month that they have time to prepare for. And then, yeah, I mean, they did have a lot of injuries and stuff. So,
And you got the suspensions of Jericho and Randy Orton, so they've lost two of their biggest stars. So
yeah, but I don't think that's really a good excuse. You'd think they'd like try and use this opportunity where most of their big stars are out to build up some of the less known people. I mean,
WWE are afraid to push anyone besides the main circle. I've seen. I know I love Punk, but they're afraid to push anyone anymore.
yeah, it is mainly the big three that they focus on. Big three? It's just Orton and Cena, really.
Yeah,
I say
Orton,
big
Cena,
three.
and Punk, but
Punk now, yeah.
But in the olden days, you used to be Cena, Orton, and Triple H, and there was like years where one of them used to be in the main event every single pay per view. So
Yeah, so if you haven't seen No Way Out and are thinking maybe go see it, don't.
if you do see it, download it. That's the only way to watch
Yeah,
it.
no,
Just
no.
download it or watch it.
Watch it
for
through
free on-
perfectly legal means.
Yes, watch it if you can. Watch it for YouTube. Probably be up on YouTube at some point.
No, it's not on YouTube. You have to get a little creative.
True.
Just watch out for viruses.
Indeed,
Because
watch out
sites
for
like
many
that are
viruses.
always.
Yeah, and watch out for emails as well. Emails that when you sign up to watch the streams, they send us emails. So.
Yeah, you never give them any details. You never do. It's just dumb. Yeah.
But just in case you do, look out for the emails.
So moving on to the events of the Raw we just watched, which was equally pretty dull.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, just watch Raw because that's basically the pay per view.
Yeah.
You've seen it all. In fact, the Raw was much better than the pay per view, and a lot shorter.
Yeah, about an hour and a half, 2 hours long,
Yeah.
about 2:15.
And it had Paul Heyman in.
Yeah,
Which
and Paul
is-
Heyman is awesome.
Yeah.
As most of you probably know, Paul Heyman as the guy who run ECW in the 90s. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the pay per view, all we had was just a random promo where Triple H basically came out and said, Brock Lesnar is a coward. I want to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar is a coward. Exit. That was it. And it just seemed completely like, oh shit, we've got a minute to kill here. Trips, can you just go out there and just keep him busy? Need to set people up. It's it's really stupid. The WWE at the moment. It's rather frustrating.
Yep, it kind of seems like a new WCW in a sense. It's like they're building, they're keeping the same stars and they're making ridiculous decisions. And it's hilarious as well. Like last week on Raw, they had someone who hasn't been on TV for years, like Vince McMahon, and they had to bring him back to help get a rating. Kind of shows just how badly they've done.
And even then, there was still that stupid scene where Vince decides to, because Vince really hates JR for some reason, and made fun of JR's Bell's palsy, which is completely reasonable and not at all hypocritical. What with the whole Be a Star ads that went on.
Yeah. Right afterwards as well, which is hilarious. Like Be a Star right in the middle of the show, or right afterwards, is like, that's a bit ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Be a Star is the WWE's anti-bullying campaign where they go into schools and have like superstars go in and say, look, it's okay to be yourself. Bullying is wrong. Just,
and it's okay,
ask a parent.
And
tell someone.
Yeah, tell a parent, and it's okay to be different. But in WWE, it's like...
Oh, so you have a crippling illness that makes your face look fine? Let's get the midget to make fun of that, and then I'll make fun of it too. Because the midgets are funny, and we like kicking them in the face.
Indeed we do. Oh, funny old Vince McMahon.
It's a funny old thing that we invest so much time into.
Indeed.
Sometimes I wonder why we do it, Mark.
I think it's just the love of the wrestling. I've been a fan of it for all my life, and it's just like it's just too hard not to watch it anymore. But like, I must watch wrestling.
I watch it for the few lights we have. I mean, Ziggler and Rhodes and Punk, and Jericho when he's there. They're the only reasons I keep on watching this silly business.
And also as well, though, it's the fact of with the Attitude Era, it's just like because of that and the old school, like the 80s stuff, I've been a fan of it. And it's just watching it, the legacy. It's like, in a way, though, if you don't watch it anymore, you can still go back and watch the older stuff if the worst comes to the worst.
Watching older wrestling is definitely a worthwhile thing to do.
Yep. That's why later on today I'm going to be showing Ben one of the greatest matches of all time between Bret Hart and Steve Austin. So hopefully for WrestleMania 13, you should enjoy that match.
The only unfortunate side effect of watching old wrestling is how much it makes you bemoan the current state of wrestling.
Yes, you do compare it so much more. Like you compare, like I know everyone compares like the Attitude Era, the Rock and Roll wrestling, the new generation, but it's just, I don't know. I think that one of the main things why wrestling has become so stale is because there's no competition. There's no real competition. There isn't a WCW anymore, and that's when wrestling was so good. When you had them on, and that was because they had to compete against each other, and everyone had to, become the best. That's why, in the same way with gaming, it's so good that we have the PS3, the 360, and the Wii because you have competition, so it makes it. Puts the best of every single person.
Yeah, I mean, not every company is Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo, regardless of whether there's competition, will just still try and innovate.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you can see that from just their handheld games. They have had no competition in the handheld market. Sony have tried.
And Game Gear in the early 90s, which also failed because of battery life, so yeah.
Game Gear.
And the old Neo Geo one as well, the old Neo Geo handheld.
Yeah, but it's helped companies like Microsoft and Sony really excel.
Yes.
Because without the likes of Nintendo driving forward innovation, they would just stagnate and just produce the same old, it'd become like, let's say, a FIFA and Madden, where we just have an Xbox every new year.
Yeah, and don't forget COD.
Yeah, COD's not actually as bad as the likes of FIFA and Madden. At least COD occasionally tries to change up the system. Okay, I mean, Call of Duty 4 was miles more innovative than anything FIFA or Madden have ever done. I mean, I think the biggest revolution FIFA and Madden ever had was, okay, let's make it 3D now. That's probably the biggest step they've ever taken.
Yeah. Same with wrestling games as well, isn't it? That's kind of become, in a way, sort of the new Madden.
Wrestling games recently have stagnated under THQ's rule. Just like, okay, yeah, it's just because they're going into this yearly model, which is a stupid thing to do with any game series.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the only way it slightly works with the Call of Duty is because they have rotating different companies doing it. Like
next year, Neversoft, the people who made Guitar Hero and the Tony Hawk series, will be inaugurating the next Call of Duty game.
Yeah, and I really like Neversoft as a company. They have made some very good games.
Very good games.
I mean, if anything, what I'm hoping is they bring their sort of Neversoft are usually known for more light-hearted,
quirkiness sort of things.
Quirky extreme games. I mean, it's like that's always one of the things I loved about Tony
Oh,
Hawk's.
picture the next COD. You have a level where you're skating down a hill whilst playing the guitar to a song. Could be like you have to get your Guitar Hero and your and like the Tony Hawk's skateboard and just like do that.
I think people might complain. I'm thinking more along the lines of having like Spider-Man as a playable character in the next Call of Duty. That'd be more fun.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, if they could bring some of that typical flair, I mean, cheat codes. Neversoft always loved cheat codes.
Yes.
And if they could bring fun cheat codes to a Call of Duty game, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, like in the olden days when you had in the olden like FPSs like Time Splitters and GoldenEye, you had like big heads.
Oh, I love Time
paintball.
Splitters. Time Splitters is one of my favourite shooters of all time.
Oh yeah, Time Splitters 2 was an awesome game. One of my friends, Jack, used to have it and used to go there and play it, and I used to love that game. It was so good.
Yes.
Talking of video games, shall we do a quick E3 recap?
Yes, since we had a bit of a hiatus on account of your vocal troubles, let's quickly touch on the happenings at E3. So, overall impressions?
Honestly, I thought Ubisoft won the whole thing. Like Watch Dogs, Zombie U look awesome. Yes, I know a lot of people say Nintendo didn't really do that well, but at the same time, at the beginning of the press conference, they said the games will be showing you, or the games are coming out in the launch window, so you can't really blame Nintendo for what they did.
Well, we can still slightly blame them, but honestly, any conference that involves Pikmin 3 instantly is not the loser, in my opinion.
Yeah, Pikmin 3 did look quite cool, and the rock Pikmin just looks so funny. They're like these little rock with faces. It's awesome.
Honestly, I don't care. It's a new Pikmin, which is great because one of the things Nintendo have always struggled with is introducing new IPs and then sticking with them. Yeah. And Pikmin is like the only new IP. In fact, I think it's their newest IP, and that like Pikmin.
Yeah, it is.
The first Pikmin only came out in like 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, it was, and wasn't Eternal Darkness? No, that was
Eternal Darkness isn't Nintendo.
But it was published by Nintendo, wasn't it?
Yeah, but lots of games are published by Nintendo, but very few are developed that are new IPs. So I really like them fostering Pikmin.
Or they have, like with Kid Icarus, a game that came out like 25 years ago and they haven't done it for like 25 years. F-Zero, for example, hasn't been a game for 10 years. Wave Race hasn't been a game for ages either. Yeah,
but what I really want to see is just more new Nintendo IPs. And that's something, that that Nintendo didn't really show off. They didn't show anything. Okay, right, here's this brilliant new thing. I mean, it was like kind of like that thing with the new like Nintendo Wii theme park. It's just like, yeah, okay, it's new, but it is just Wii Sports for the Wii U, isn't it?
And they've got like games based on like Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but by no means is this revolutionary.
The last proper IP they did a new one, but hasn't really did much on it, was probably Project Hammer. But then that wasn't really made. It was that game from 2006. We played some Mascala Hammer.
No, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, even though that never actually came to fruition.
And you got that new Platinum games being made for the Wii U wasn't actually shown on the conference. It was shown afterwards. One where you play these different superheroes, you have to fight these weird robot things.
I did not see that. But yeah,
that looked quite good.
So yeah, Microsoft had a thoroughly underwhelming conference. They showed us Halo 4, which we already knew a fair bit about, and now know slightly more about.
And the new Gears game, which is apparently a prequel.
They showed nothing of the new Gears game. They basically showed a short 30-minute trailer, which was all CG, and it's basically just like, here's Baird. That's all we're showing. Gears of War. But yeah, and then like their big surprise reveal at the end. What are they going to show? Come on, what is it going to be? Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Oh, but we already knew about that, and that's coming out like this year. But
you've also got stuff like Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed as well.
Yeah, again, but it's just like it's all stuff we knew about, and like Ubisoft showed off Assassin's Creed way better in it. Oh, Assassin's Creed 3 looks good.
It does. I saw a trailer and gameplay bit for the Wii U, and it just looks really good on the Wii U.
Well, it's like I've always been a fan of Assassin's Creed, but one of the things I really didn't like about it was the way they stagnated themselves by sticking in the world of Assassin's Creed 2 and Ezio. Because one of the things I loved about the concept was, this is brilliant. They can go to all of these different timelines and just twist them into their own version and really eke out this brilliant creative minds. It's just like, So why are we still in Renaissance Italy? I mean, it's a cool timeline and all, but I'm getting bored, and I nenever saw the attraction to Ezio. It's like, oh,
I never
but he's a
played.
character. It's like, yeah, but he's an assassin. He's not supposed to be flamboyant and Italian and humping everything inside because he is Italian. It's like, okay, cool. But
But
no,
that's what Italians are stereotypically known for, aren't they?
yeah, but
Being very.
stereotypes aren't. But yeah, no, they're finally moving on to a different timeline, into Civil War America.
And it's also going to have you can actually use boats as well, apparently, in it as well. It's just quite interesting.
It just looks innovative, which is what I've wanted from them since
Yes.
Assassin's Creed One, because their problem wasn't the concept, their problem was the gameplay in the first one, which they then fixed. So I mean, Assassin's Creed Two was a brilliant game.
But also you got to think about as well that a lot of companies are quite afraid to innovate or do something different because they know if they don't make a sequel, same with films, if it doesnnly sell, then they would have wasted all that money.
But no, it does look genuinely good. I'm actually excited for an Assassin's Creed game instead of, another bloody spin-off. But I've said that too much already. So yeah, Sony didn't really have anything interesting to show off. I mean, it was kind of cool, the whole Two Souls thing. It's like, yeah, okay, Heavy Rain 2 sort of looks kind of
Is
interesting.
it that one with Ellen Page, isn't it?
Yes, the weird-looking, bald, mocap, Uncanny Valley Ellen Page.
Yes. Is this one going to be? I never played Heavy Rain, but I wonder if this one's going to actually play a lot like Heavy Rain, where it's kind of in a way. I heard it's kind of quick time eventy. If they're going to make it different.
They didn't really show any gameplay. They showed a lot of that.
I know showed a lot of CG. I was wondering, but I was wondering if they're going to have actual like what the gameplay's going to be like, or if it's going to just kind of be like an interactive movie in a sense.
Well, it wasn't CG. It was actual in-game footage.
Oh, that's what I meant. I meant in-game footage, but.
But yeah, they kind of hinted at it because the whole point is, the whole Two Souls thing is that Ellen Page has this ghost friend. I mean, I'm really oversimplifying this because the trailer didn't tell us a lot. But the ghost friend can basically go into people and possess them and just control them. So there was a situation where she is being chased by the policeman, and the ghost goes and possesses policemen. Starts shooting them so she can run off.
So is this one different to the one they showed a couple months ago with the robot thing, with the robot woman?
I don't know which one that is. Oh, wasn't that just a tech demo? Or...
It might have been the tech demo. Might have been a tech demo, but
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not
it was.
Sure
it was a thing. It was a tech demo. It was the one where you had like a robot, and then she had everything, and they were taking her apart, and she was starting to cry, and she put back together again, and became like a real person.
I've not seen that.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, Sony. Sony was probably the strongest of the big three, but equally, it's just like.
And they had a ridiculous book as well, wasn't it? That book, the spell
Yeah,
book that did really badly at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
And the funny thing as well, that apparently they missed out 25 Vita games as well. And you've also got the clone of Smash Brothers with this PlayStation All Stars.
At least that's looking interesting. I mean, a lot of people are, complaining, oh, it's just Smash Brothers, but there have been a lot of Smash Brothers clones. They really have. I mean, one of the ones that comes to mind that I used to play was Digimon Rumble, and that game was truly bad.
And you've also got as well Ubisoft made for 25 years of Ninja Turtles Smash Up, which was basically made by people who did make Smash Brothers and Ninja Gaiden, but wasn't very good apparently.
Ninja Gaiden, not Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden. I remember that from The Wizard. I never saw it, but I remember that bit for a clip always goes Ninja Gaiden. So.
Yeah. But no, it looks interesting, and providing that they actually get a decent built-up roster and don't just stagnate it with the usual Sony plethora of generic first-person shooter stars. I mean, it could be really good. I mean, the fact they've got Parappa the Rapper in it gives me hope. Because, most of the people who are playing a PS3 now will have no idea who Parappa the Rapper is. For those of you who don't know, Parappa the Rapper is a dog who goes around having adventures in his little town and rapping about things like learning karate and kung fu
and learning how to cut onion and cooking stuff. It's a wacky game.
Yeah, it's one of the first few. It was like one of the first rhythm action games, and it was very good.
Very good game. I wonder if Guitar Man's going to be on it as well.
If they put Guitar Man as the character, I would absolutely love that.
Would Kelowna? I know Kelowna isn't really PS1 anymore, but it was originally on the PS1. I mean PlayStation. Sorry. Would that be put onto All Stars as well?
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, I think one of the more likely ones is they're probably going to try and get a Final Fantasy character in there.
Probably Cloud, I guess.
Cloud's the likely
or
one,
Sephiroth
yeah.
from Final Fantasy VII, as that's the main one. That was the one that kind of set Final Fantasy on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Originally it was Nintendo, then it went on to PlayStation.
Yeah, I did like the inclusion of the Big Daddy from Bioshock, even if it is a little bit confusing considering like Bioshock was an Xbox exclusive for a long while before they eventually went, I guess we can make some money by putting it on the PS3.
True. What about isn't Snake in it as well?
Snake's not confirmed yet, but it's very, since they got David Hayter to do voice acting,
I'm
it's
sure.
pretty damn likely it's good.
Yes.
Because, what other David Hayter roles do we know that are famous Sony characters? Oh, wait, none.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Ratchet should be in there. I'd be very disappointed if he wasn't. Jack should be in there from Jack and Daxter.
Mm-hmm. Crash Bandicoot could be in there because
I hope Spyro's there. I adore Spyro.
And those two should be in there because they were originally Sony. They were owned by Sony, weren't they?
Well, yeah, and they were Sony's attempts at a mascot.
Yeah.
Failed attempts at a mascot, but
Crash Bandicoot was actually a really good mascot. Then, as soon as they left Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot went to shit. Honestly, as soon as they left Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot 3
same thing with
was
Spyro.
one of the best. Yeah, was one of the best. Spyro 1 and Crash Bandicoot 3 were some of the two best games I played on the PlayStation 1.
Still prefer Spyro 2 and 3, which is slightly controversial.
I never played Spyro 2 or 3. I only played 1. So
games. But yeah, as soon as both Crash and Spyro moved to the PS2, everything went to hell.
Yep.
And yet they created Jack and Ratchet as a result, so I don't really care.
Indeed. And then it's funny as well, Naughty Dog went from doing the cartoony games to now doing the new game we've mentioned, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Oh, yes. No, that looks slightly interesting, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean...
And I heard one of the main things people like about it is that the fact that actually your partner is actually useful. It's not like in other games like Resident Evil 5 where they're useless.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people always say that though. I mean, so many times we've heard the line, "Oh, but this co-op partner." It's like, well, yeah, but there's been a lot of competent co-op partners. Tails, for example, in Sonic 2. Tails is a brilliant co-op partner. He doubles your damage against Robotnik. Wonderful. But yeah, I mean, I do find the whole there's co-op characters are always terrible. I find that a bit annoying, that line. Because, there's plenty of good ones out there.
Well, it's made by Naughty Dog, so I'm sure they'll won't ruin it. I'm sure they'll make it really good.
They haven't made a bad game yet. Unlike Insomniac, who have made Resistance.
Yes.
Which is their one black mark on it otherwise. I mean, Resistance isn't a bad game, but it's a samey game. It's just like we've seen all the stuff they're doing in there.
But isn't Ratchet and Clank kind of samey? Isn't each Ratchet and Clank kind of samey?
Don't you say that. Ratchet and Clank is a beautiful game, and I will not have you say a bad word about it.
Fair.
Yes, so I guess we shall move on to films that we've seen recently.
Yep. Both films we saw both recently have been both Prometheus and Rock of Ages.
Yes, so...
Let's start with Rock of Ages. Ben, what do you think of it?
Honestly, I was quite underwhelmed by that film. Don't get me wrong, it's still an enjoyable film.
Very good film, I really liked it.
I'd probably go see it again, actually, but there are multitudes of problems. The big one being the pacing of the whole thing. I mean, that film was rushed. Really, really rushed. I mean, you can tell it was adapted.
Yeah.
Because...
Totally.
Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of material they're trying to cram into a small space, and it's just feels... I mean, the character arcs are so quick. It's like, boy meets girl, now they're in love. Let's move on to all the Stacey Jack stuff. It's like, but surely we should build this relationship up so we care about the... Nope, they're in love. Deal with it. Here's a short 30-second montage to show how much in love they are. Look, they're on the beach. They're chatting. Ha ha.
And then while singing along to Foreigner's song, Waiting for a Girl Like You.
I mean, the soundtrack was pretty good in it. I mean, it's a little bit annoying. I mean, personally, I would have preferred it if they'd used the actual songs instead of taking the whole musical approach. But it wouldn't really fit the whole, Broadway theme that's kind of going on. It's
one of those films that if you don't really like the music, you wouldn't really like the film itself because it's a lot to do with the music.
Oh, yeah.
Probably about 60-70% of the film is mostly all singing.
And it's very much a product of that sort of transitional era, going from the 80s to the 90s. So, yeah, and I mean, I liked quite a lot of the characters in it, but again, it's just like I didn't care about any of them because they never built anything up. I mean, the only one I was slightly interested in was like Stacey Jacks, but again, he's not really a character as much as sort of a mythos in a way.
He's kind of like what a lot of 80s rock stars would have been known as being, the
Yeah.
drunk, hungover, drug addicts. As they used to say, sex, drugs, and rock and roll used to be the main thing in the 80s. So he's kind of emphasising that, kind of parodying it at the same time. But it was very good though. I thought Tom Cruise was actually one of the roles I actually liked him in. Usually I don't really like Tom Cruise, but that film he was really good.
I mean, as long as he's not singing, he's very good in that film.
Yes.
Just for playing this weird, like, pseudo-spiritualistic, kind of like ethereal being that everyone just like, oh my god, it's the Dalai Lama walking among us. I guess Dalai Lama of rock. Well, that doesn't really sound that glamorous. But you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean. Who's Dalai Lama?
You don't know who the Dalai Lama is, really? No? No, you're joking.
I probably would do, but what's he done? Or
It's a great Buddhist spiritual leader.
oh, is he the fat man?
No, that's Buddha.
Is Dalai Lama the elephant man with the 6 arms?
No, that's Shiva. No, Ganesh. Mark, your knowledge of a religion staggers me in your ignorance. But that's fine. Moving on from my metaphor, Rock of Ages. It's a good film. I mean, if you're a fan of the 80s and just that music, it's an enjoyable film.
Yeah,
Russell
really
Brand and
enjoyable.
Alec Baldwin are quite funny in it.
They are very good as well. And you got Bryan Cranston as well, who's been in loads of stuff, and he's quite good in it as well.
Oh, and who is he? John DiMaggio, is it? The sleazy guy.
Oh, that's not Strange Magic, but I can't remember his name. But I know, yeah, he's good in it
he's
as well.
very good in it. Paul Giamatti,
That's it.
very good in it. I can't remember who John DiMaggio is now. That's gonna
He's
bug
the
me.
guy who does all the voices of like Bender and Marcus Phoenix and stuff like that.
How the hell have I got those two?
I have no idea.
DiMaggio, Giamatti, I guess, but
It sounds similar, you know.
Bender and vaguely Jewish sleazeball. Yeah, no, those two completely mesh, obviously. Yeah. So as I said, good film. It's a nice popcorn film. Not going to change your life, but enjoyable.
Very enjoyable.
So other than that, moving on to Prometheus. So what did you think of that?
I really enjoyed Prometheus. Being someone who's only ever seen Aliens, I thought it was a really good film.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
I mean,
I thought at some points it was a bit slow at certain points, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. But then again, I did see at 12:30 in the morning. That's probably why I was a bit like, oh, come on, kind of things.
I saw it at the same time, but yeah, I mean, it's a good film. I mean, a lot of the critics who are bad mouthing it, they seem to be buying a bit too much into the hype, from my perspective. I mean, they're expecting it to be, oh, this is Ridley Scott's big return to cinema making. It's going to be amazing. It's going to tie up the whole alien thing. It's going to answer so many questions. It's like, don't come into it like that. Really don't come into it like that. Because it's a good, solid film, but it's better to be viewed as something that sort of echoes the same bars that Alien hits, rather than something that is part of that whole thing.
I've heard as well they're going to be making sequels to the Prometheus as well. They're going to be like a second and a third one, apparently. So then it could hopefully then lead into Alien. Because Ridley Scott even said, yes, it's a prequel to Alien, but it's also its own standalone film that you can still enjoy it even without Alien.
I mean, I think that film would have benefited from two things. One, not getting the guy who scripted Lost to do it, because there are so many questions that are just completely left unanswered and just completely left open. He flies really fast with the rules. And of course, he always puts this weird pseudo-religious spin on everything. And secondly, that film would be so much better if they just removed any overt reference to Alien in it.
Really?
I think it would benefit the whole film as a whole so much, because that way they wouldn't be tied to all that hype and all that reputation. I mean, you could just remove like all of the actual xenomorphs and the space jockeys and just replace them with, vaguely alien things, and it would be so much better as a result. I mean, instead of having it like overtly be a part of the series, have it just hit the same beats as the series. And
kind of have it but different, but then have maybe little hints to Alien with the W, but have it in its own different world.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Also, some stronger characters and a bit more development would have been nice. Because the
But
rest of the crew don't really get much of anything.
Fassbender was the best bit of that film.
Fassbender is brilliant. The acting in it, universally really good.
Yes.
But the problem is, as I said, the script. The script is the big problem with that film.
It was shot amazingly well, though. The way it was just shot was amazing. Ridley Scott's known for doing really good shots, and the landscape and how beautiful it was as well at some points.
Yeah. So, in summary, go into that film not expecting the Dalai Lama. That's the best way to go into this film.
Yeah, basically. It is good, but
I don't know why you're agreeing with me. You don't know who the Dalai Lama is. I can't believe you don't. Anyway, enough me bemoaning that. Let's wrap this up, shall we? Yeah, so he is Mark Sylvester.
And here's Ben Upton.
And that's GEEKAMANIA episode 3. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye.